I belong to a family tradition that lasts since the beginning of 18th century, and the reason why these marble workshops were built in Carrara is because we have such an important marble tradition connected, of course, with the exploitation of the marble quarries. In Carrara, we've got a very fine chemical composition of the particles. They are one side to the other, very close and very, very fine. But it's macrocrystals in composition, and this makes the white marble of Carrara more suitable for sculpture because it resists very fine profiles, very fine, very tiny details. You don't have that big grain, like a grain of salt. With Carrara marble is particularly suitable for the marble carving. To face with a large marble block, you need to have a very clear idea in mind, and this is exactly what Michelangelo had. He was not improvising, he was not an expressionist, he knew exactly what he was gonna do because he was idealistic, pure, Platonic. The first stage is the roughing out of the block. So imagine a very regular square block, you remove the angles. Then the most crucial phase is called modeling. Modeling is the most important thing, is what we do also in the clay modeling. Whereas the marble carving is only to remove material. You cannot add what's been removed before. After that, you reach the finishing phase and the polishing.
So this sense of taking away until he got to the point where he found the skin of his subject. And then that kind of, that boundary of the body actually becoming the form of the sculpture. And the idea that that's buried inside this inert lump of marble is magical.
Some friends wrote from Florence, urging him to come back, because there was a good chance that he might be able to make a statue out of a block of marble that was standing spoiled in the Office of Works.
Michelangelo would probably have known about the block of marble out of which David was carved from childhood. The block had been quarried in Carrara in the mid-15th century and transported with great difficulty, probably, by sea and along the River Arno to Florence with the idea of carving precisely a figure of David to be put right up on the skyline of the Duomo in Florence. That was why it was so big. But that project had come to nothing. The sculpture had been blocked out by a 15th century sculptor, Agostino di Duccio, and then left mouldering in the yard of the Office of Works of Florence Cathedral for 40 years and more. Suddenly, the project had been revived, so Michelangelo effectively dropped everything, apparently stopped work on a painting he was doing in Rome of the Entombment, dashed up to Florence to make sure that he would get the commission. The problem that Michelangelo was faced with was that this block didn't really have very much scope to put a newly designed figure in because it had already been worked.
He does not call anyone to help, any assistant. Nobody, he had to be on his own. Then he closes all the area with the tents so that nobody could see what was going on within that place. And he starts working night and day, with the passion that he got and all his ideas inside. He had to be connected forever. His name, Michelangelo, had to be connected forever with the Colossus, and the Colossus would make his name the greatest sculpture forever, of all times. Everybody wanted to have access to the place, and nobody could. And so he kept working, and all the bars in Florence, nobody could stop talking about Michelangelo working like mad night and day for months and days and nights and nights and days. He couldn't care less. There is a defect. He was mad. He was made by creation. He couldn't care less.
Michelangelo's brilliant insight and the way he was able to convince the patrons that he could get a sculpture out of this already worked stone was that he was going to take David's clothes off. He was going to present him as naked, which was a sensational idea really for a public sculpture at that date, and also gave him more space.
The hand. But this is an incredible piece of art. Only the hand is an incredible piece of art with all the concentration and the stress and the reflection and all the thinking of David. His concentration on this gesture and the strength, all the blood and the coming on the veins, and the eyes. So in those details, you can tell is probably the highest achievement in marble sculpture.
It became apparent that this was just far too good a work to waste by putting it out of the way on the roof of the cathedral. It needed to be seen from closer up. The whole question was debated, and probably it wasn't decided until even after that finally, in May 1504, it would be put right outside the Palace of Government as an emblem of the Florentine state.